Is it possible to make six figures your first year as a mortgage loan officer? And let me tell you that I did it, and so can you. And in this video, what I want to do is go through the journey that I took and the different steps that I actually applied to be able to make that happen. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Zevi Shafran. I'm an owner of a mortgage shop in Los Angeles. And I think it's very important to say that when I started my business back in 2016, it wasn't 2020, it wasn't 2022. So interest rates were not 2 or 3%. So everything I'm giving you in this video is viable and you can do exactly the same thing. All right, so with that, let's dive in and let's get started. The first thing that I want to talk to you about, which is really, really important, is time and accountability. Basically what this is, when I first got started, I was extremely particular about how I spent my time. Now here is the thing, you already know what you need to do to generate more business. Because if it's not an income producing activity, then it's sucking up your attention and it's not gonna make you any more money. Now you might be thinking to yourself, how would I know whether I'm on the right track or not? Look, focus is just about doing the one thing that you know that you need to be doing. Anything outside of that would be considered a distraction. Now, on top of that, there's no shortage of distractions for all of us, right? And to take it a step further, what I did was I actually created a log, an Excel. And in that Excel, I would be able to jot down, if I needed to, every single hour of the day that I was working, what I accomplished. So think about that. It's very powerful because all of us go through the motions every single day. You know, in our mind, we're being productive, but are you taking a 2-hour lunch? Is that 2-hour lunch involve a trip to Costco to look for something that you think that you need, but you're just burning up more time? And then when you get in front of the computer, are you scrolling on social media before you actually get to the conversations, to the emails, to the contacts, right? So all that is not being focused. And what I did personally, my first year business especially, I paid very, very close attention to how I was spending my time. And by creating that log, made it a lot more simple to stay on point and to hold myself accountable. So again, if you're getting started, you want to stay focused, just make sure you allocate your time correctly, make yourself that little log, take a look. It's something that you could look at daily, it's something that you could look at weekly, and you can kind of go back and be like, okay, you know, I thought I was being more productive, but it looks like I'm wasting a bunch of my time doing this. Once you start cutting out a lot of these useless activities and start injecting a lot more of your focus into what you're supposed to be doing, your productivity goes up. And again, going back to the title of this video, 6 figures my first year, that's what it takes, guys. I want to talk to you about point number 2, which is something that all of us have. It's our unfair advantage. So what is an unfair advantage? Well, think about it for a second. Everyone has an unfair advantage. You might be better at something naturally than somebody else is. And I'll tell you what my unfair advantage was coming into lending my first year. I live in Los Angeles and I happen to speak Hebrew. And a lot of people here that are self-employed, builders, developers, people in construction, happen to speak Hebrew as well. I connected the dots and I said, what if I got the Israeli newspaper and started reaching out to all these companies just to introduce myself? Because here's the deal. Most people do not use your services the first time around, right? You kind of have to warm up to it. But when you send somebody an email, they may at some point need your services. They may think back to the time that you called and then they will look for that email. Kind of like a business card. You have an opportunity to earn the business in that way. Now, knowing that a lot of my clientele has been self-employed, this would be the perfect niche for me to tap into. And if you want to think outside the box, you might be somebody, as an example, who's currently a first responder, let's just say, right? So you have access to anyone who's a nurse or a firefighter or a policeman or woman, right? And so you have access to those people, and those are some of the easiest loans that you could possibly do because they're W-2. It's very simple. There's not a lot of layers of risk, and you can get from point A to point B super fast. You might be somebody who's a part of an organization. And as example, maybe a church or a temple, and you can try to get connected with doing that type of business. Or maybe you're into sports and you're in touch with all the different parents. There's so many different ways to have an unfair advantage. You really need to lean into that, tap into that, and what you find is that you could leverage whatever you have, skill, organization, language, community. It could definitely be a very, very great place to get more business. All right, so that was my number 2. Let me walk you through my number 3 on the list. My number 3 was massive outreach. Now, let me explain this one to you. When I got started back in 2016, I got started before that, but that's when I built my company and I exited, all right? And I just want to share with you that I actually started working independently in May, and that's when I quit being a production manager in this other company. And from basically June until the end of the year, I made more money independently than I did working at the company. And then the following year and by the way, I was completely on track to make 6 figures. And then the following year, I definitely made over 6 figures. So what I'm sharing with you guys definitely works in a normalized environment of lending. Massive outreach. When I was much younger, my family was in the construction business. So a normal day would mean that you get a box of 5,000 flyers, you have 3 helpers, and you're out in different neighborhoods dispersing them to make the phone ring, right? That is a massive outreach. And when I started in lending, I actually made the same goal except via email. Now you might be thinking, and if you know a little bit about email marketing, is that if you put out a bunch of emails from contacts that have an opt-in, then your IP address will get tagged and the whole campaign will get shut down, especially if you're using companies like Constant Contact. They're not gonna have it. So I used a company, they were called SendBlaster, and they gave you a dedicated SMTP server, and then you could just blast off. Now, that was then. Today, I would have done things completely different, because today, I would literally try to post as much content as I possibly could on the different platforms as consistently as possible, simply because that is the quickest way for me to be able to hit so many people so fast, especially if they like your content. Then it will resonate with them, the algorithm will push it, and next thing you notice, every post that you put up, thousands of people are gonna be able to see it. Do you know what the cost is associated with being able to send 5,000 flyers or emails a day as opposed to putting up a post and having 5,000 people see it? There's a massive difference in cost. So for you to be able to do that literally for free, the only thing that it takes is your time and your effort. All right, so that would be my suggestion for you if you were getting started. Now there's one other thing here outside of this massive reach, which is my number 4, but it's actually focused outreach. Having the whole shotgun approach and trying to hit everyone doesn't necessarily mean that you're building those quality connections. And the truth of the matter is, once you get into business and being a loan officer, what you're gonna find out, it's really those close connections, those close relationships that you build that are gonna be sending you most of your business. All right, so it's not necessarily about getting, even though to get your name out there, to get as many people to know who you are, and that's great, because the more people that know who you are, the more likely you are to get more business. But it doesn't mean that they're going to connect with you. And so focused outreach simply means that you're gonna have to start building relationships with people, and you're gonna have to be selective about that. The whole concept of a focused outreach is not only to reach out to somebody once, but to be able to build the relationship and literally get in touch with them weekly or every other week, or at least monthly, have the opportunity to meet them face to face, take them out for coffee, really build the relationship. And what you're gonna find is that that is probably gonna be the largest source of where you're gonna get the most deals. And you could do that with a bunch of different referral partners. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to force the relationship, because The truth of the matter is, just like any other friendship that you've ever had, some relationships just flourish a lot quicker than others and a lot more naturally than others. I can talk to somebody and like literally, no matter what I try, just there's nothing there. And then there's some people that it's just funny and giggly and we connect and there's jokes and you want to continue that. Being in business is already lonely. Working hard is already very isolated. It's very nice to have these type of connections because at the end of the day, you end up having some great conversation with them over time, right? It takes time to build, exchange ideas. And then at the same time, if you have the opportunity to send them business, then that's pretty amazing. You get to reciprocate, and that's what basically makes the whole circle go round. So that was my number 4, focused outreach. I gotta tell you, I probably wasn't the best at this the first year, but I tried. I was just trying to stay so focused and hold myself accountable. I leaned really hard my unfair advantage, which was literally getting in touch with the builders and the developers, everyone else. I blasted 5,000 emails a day. So it was literally just doing everything I can to get out there and get business. This takes longer for sure, but I can tell you that when I look back at my deals, this was some of the best deals that I've ever gotten was from my close relationships. So definitely put this at the top of your list. All right, so number 5, this is the truth. This is what was able to take me from just being anybody to being a 6-figure producer. And think about it, you're gonna like this one. Product and skill. And you might be thinking, product and skill. Well, check this out, hold on. This right here makes all the difference in the world. And let me explain to you why. Obviously, somebody's thinking of getting a loan, right? First thing that pops to mind might be to walk into the local bank, all right? Especially if you're like a W-2 wage earner, it's very simple, there's not a lot there. But what if they couldn't, right? Remember I told you that the majority of my clients are self-employed? So the product is very important. Not just being able to give somebody a loan using their tax returns. What about people that cannot use their tax returns? What about that whole economy of clientele? What about people that are not only self-employed, but what about people that need second mortgages and can't document their income, right? If you wrote off your income and you need a second mortgage, like the environment that we're in right now, think about it. You have people that have 30-year mortgages right after the whole COVID era, and they have all this equity in their house and they're kind of tied up because what am I going to do? I have this 2-3% interest rate. A lot of these people also have written off their income if they're self-employed. They can't walk into a bank and qualify for a home equity line of credit. To have the product to be able to give them money in second position by using alternative documentation. That's where a lot of the business is right now for residential loan officers until rates change, and then you're going to get a lot more purchase. Right now it's turning into a buyer's market. I'm seeing a lot more homes at the market, which means that there's going to be a lot more needs for people who need to purchase loans. And then as rates go down, you're going to start seeing more refinances. But product is huge. And I'll tell you something else. For me, being able to offer not just residential but commercial financing made all the difference in the world. Like all the difference in the world, because I was able to service 2 completely different groups. In the middle of these 2 groups, there is the whole private money bucket. And the truth is, you don't need to be a hard money lender. You can broker hard money, you can broker private money, and you can still do really well with it. Did you know that being able to broker commercial and private money, you really only need a real estate license under a broker in states that actually require a license? And according to ChatGPT, there's only about 6 or 7 states in the whole United States that actually require a license. 80% of the country is wide open for you to operate under your LLC to be able to broker private money and commercial loans, which is pretty crazy, right? Think about it. You could literally be in business tomorrow if you have the product, but you don't have the skill. So now I guess the last piece of the puzzle is, if I knew all this, where would I actually be able to get the skill? How do you do that? Well, I'll tell you this. I've spent the past year building out something called the Part-Time Commercial Lender Academy. And if you've been watching my videos, I'm sure you've heard me talking about this, but the truth of the matter is, it's unlike any other program out there. I literally got an email today inviting me to a conversation with somebody who can make me a commercial loan officer in 3 days. I mean, that is ridiculous. And my guess is it's probably like $4,000 to $5,000, which is obscene. I literally took all my knowledge and I put it in a box for you guys to be able to do this, just this. Use all my proprietary forms. It's a roadmap that takes you from A to Z. The whole journey of the loan is there. No matter where you are, you could easily plug and play into it. It's phenomenal. And considering that 80% of America is open for business, not even needing a license according to ChatGPT, that means you could literally, you have the product, just develop the skill that took me 10 years plus to develop by going through these modules, through my proprietary work, and literally plugging yourself into a new part-time, that's why I called it part-time. Don't quit your day job. That's how you get paid, but develop the skill so you can potentially get 1 transaction or 2 transactions a quarter. Do that over a period of a year. For 1 to 2 years, you can easily have a 6-figure income, all right? And if you decide to go through the residential route, good news, I literally just yesterday finished developing the Part-Time Residential Lender Academy. Now here's the good news for you. I'm currently filming the modules, which means that until the official launch date, you could use, depending on when you're watching this video, a promo code called pre-launch. It's in the description of this video, and you can have a massive discount. It's a massive course. It has everything in it for residential lending to be able to develop the skill. Okay, guys? I mean, I gave you a lot here. This is exactly what I did when I got started. It paid off. Rates were not 2%. It got me to 6 figures, and you can do exactly the same thing, all right? If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. You want to check out the Academy? It's in the description of this video. And if you have any questions for me, please let me know. I always enjoy reading your questions and replying to them. And of course, if you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll tell you why. Because it's the quickest way for other people like yourself to be able to find this video, all right? If you want to watch more videos like this, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this. I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck on your journey. And if you want to dive into lending, then check out the links in the description. I'll see you on my next video. Take care.